I recently joined Viridian, and throughout the interview process, it was quite unique from what I experienced from some other organisations. When I first did my first interview with Rita, she was actually in Melbourne, so it was through a Zoom, meeting. But it was quite refreshing. Rather than asking me technical questions, she did ask me, a little bit about myself. And one of the favourite questions, or the one of I guess would be the most memorable, would be what are the top three things that your best friend would say about you, which I found very unique for the experience. But essentially, meeting her face to face, it kind of gave a human element and I guess the family vibe of Viridian, which I did actually find kind of thread through quite neatly right through my onboarding into the culture that I am working within today, which is quite refreshing. I think for anyone who is looking or needs any tips for an interview at Viridian, I would definitely want to remind them that it might not be your traditional interview. So, you might be used to assessment centres or, heavy technical skilled based interviews. You might have a manager dependent on the role and the team who might opt for a more structured interview, but you might also just come in, have a coffee with the direct manager, and the interview would essentially be that. So, if you want a tip for preparing, I'd definitely make sure you practice your communication skills. At the end of the day, if you can't answer a question, that's okay, but still have, some sort of, be prepared to make sure that you can still answer and say, well, this is what I would do. If I don't have this skill, I would leverage off colleagues, I would go to additional courses, I'd do some in-depth reading on how to pick up the skill. That's completely okay, because at the end of the day, I think everyone at Viridian is going to judge you as a human being, rather than eliminating your weakness from the interview. So I definitely recommend that. Number 2 hot tip is always introduce yourself. I think that really shows, just make sure that you're really committed to the role. A lot of people, and I think particularly grads, get quite nervous, which I am empathetic about, but they often, in the room or, when they first meet their manager, they get quite tense and nervous and forget to introduce themselves from the beginning. So, make sure you're the one to introduce yourself first rather than your manager. It's always a good way to kind of step forward and build your own confidence within the interview too.